Hi, and welcome to Book Bites with Maggie. We're coming to you live from Napanee Public Library for today's virtual Reader's Advisory. Our topic for episode 11, this is season 2, we're going to be featuring book titles that have been picked by Reese Witherspoon for her online book club. If you are familiar with her titles at all, you're going to really enjoy this episode. If you know other friends that might be interested in joining us, you're welcome to share this live video, and they will be invited virtually to join us for the discussion. This is an interactive live video, and I will be able to see any comments that you leave, and we can interact with this platform. So you can share now. And as we're talking about different titles, if you're new to Book Bites, what we try to do is we'll hold up a title, showcase what the book is, and then by the time that I'm done speaking about it, giving you a little bit of a snippet, I'm going to try to also tell you what formats a book is in. But please, by all means, if I forget to mention a format, and you specifically read an ebook or you prefer audiobook and you want to know if a title is available in that format, give me a shout out and I can definitely look that up for you. But my goal is to always have the information available and on hand. Talk a little bit louder. Okay, can you guys hear me now? I don't want to talk too loud, but I want you to be able to hear me. You want to interact, give me a thumbs up if I'm good. Can you hear what I'm saying? Should be okay. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I wanna give you a little bit of a backstory on what Reese Witherspoon's book club pick is. Her book club started out, she called it Hello Sunshine, and every place that you looked back in the summer of 2017, she plastered social media with what is going to become her logo. It's a very identifying white and yellow mark. Now, since then, she's changed from calling her book club Hello Sunshine to just Reese's Book Club. So if you're familiar with any type of platform person, say Oprah Winfrey, she has that little emblem on her book club picks as well. That's kind of what you're gonna look for. Now, oftentimes with Reese's book club picks, she does pick brand new publications, and those titles are almost all automatically going to have that logo on them. It is also a searchable term in our online catalog, so if you're looking for a list of the titles that are featured on her list, we can look those up for you quite easily. But if a book that she picked was already published before she picked it as her online book club, like this one here, it doesn't have the identifying mark on it. So I don't know if you can see the difference. Some have the identifying mark, some do not. So if they were pre-published, they're not going to have that emblem on the cover of a book. But if you're searching for our online catalog and you use that Reese Witherspoon book club pick, we're going to still be able to find you a list of titles, and these will be available for you. I am going to go ahead and start with Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Gail Honeyman's title, this book is about a neurodiverse main character. This book came out, let's see, I have my little cheat sheet here. I've been following this book club forever. So this is the first book. It came out in June 2017, and it follows our main character, Eleanor, and she is she's like on the autism spectrum. Her social dynamics are a little bit different. She doesn't follow as many cues as normal society, and it really makes her stand out as a main character because you get to follow through and see if she is comfortable in her own skin, and when she breaks out of the routines and her life becomes a little bit more than maybe what she was used to, she develops friendships and relationships with other people who are very set in their ways. This was an excellent story. I waited 6 months to read this book one, and this one was definitely worth it. This is a fantastic story that I know has been circulated around the library staff and the community as well, but it should be on your list for sure because you're going to absolutely love Eleanor Oliphant. Have any of you guys read this one? You can give me a little thumbs up in the comments. Leave me a heart emoji if you've read and enjoyed Eleanor. That's always fun. Okay, the next book I'm going to share with you, this is a February 2020 book. I did want to mention too that all of Reese Witherspoon's book club picks feature a main character who is a woman. Now, she obviously coasts her book club pick from the United States, but many of her books are very diverse. So you're going to be traveling all over the world with her characters, and your world is just going to really open up. She's very good about picking authors that can totally immersify you in a new culture. Some of the books have dual languages, and it's so fascinating to totally explore your world through these titles. In The Scent Keeper, this is by Erica Browmaster. She's written several books before, so she was not a debut author, but this title takes place on a remote island. And Emmeline in this story, she is kind of estranged from society. And she lives on this island with her dad, who has developed a machine that stores scents. So when I'm picturing this book, and as I was reading it, I just pictured a huge wall full of drawers. And in his machine, he claims to be able to capture a scent so that when you open the door back up, you're going to be instantly transfixed back to where that scent takes you. It might be a person's home, it might be a vacation spot. But using scent as one of your five senses is a totally different story perspective. Usually visual cues and physical cues are done in storylines. Through this one, using the scent theme, it is totally different than anything I had read before. And Emmeline, because she is so removed from society, her coming of age story is different because she doesn't have those people around her influencing her in any way. And this is the story of discovering like what you've been told and what reality is, and how those things merge together. This was an excellent story. This one we have available as a book, an ebook, and an e-audiobook in our Napanee Public Library collection. With your card with us, if this is a book that you're interested in reading, we can definitely put you on hold for it if you leave us a message in the comments. But if you want to read it in that digital format, the ebook or the e-audiobook, you're just going to use your Libby or Overdrive app, and those are available as well. Okay, we're going to keep going. One Day in December is a romance. This is the first book that I actually read that I realized was on this Reese Witherspoon Book Club pick. That's what opened and broadened my world to being like, oh, there's more books on here that I think would really interest me, and then I started reading the backlist. This one is from December 2018. It takes place in London, and our main character, Lori, is on a bus one day. It's absolutely been the crappiest day ever. She looks out the bus window at a bus stop, and she sees, instantaneously, she knows the love of her life. And for the next year, she travels around on the bus and is desperately seeking out this man that she never reached out to or spoke to in that moment. And she wants to know who this guy is, who she was so drawn to. So then that's the whole first year. She never finds him. 10 years later, you get the second part of the story when in walks her best friend and her roommate, and who do you think she's dating? The man from the bus stop. So then the story becomes a story of three. It is the dynamics and the relationship between the three of those main characters and what it looks like to have a secret and have a crush that you've let delve into yourself for that long. This story, again, is set in London. We have this book as a book, an ebook, and an e-audio book, and One Day in December by Josie Silver is a great book that you definitely should pick up. The Two Lives of Lydia Bird, I think, is her follow-up story. If you really like this one, you might like that book as well. Okay, so we went from London. Now we are going to travel to the, I think you say Jaipur? Does that sound right? In India. This is the Henna Artist by Alka Joshi, I think is how you pronounce it. And this story follows a marriage of convenience. She is, in this story, Lakshmi is our main character. She is forced into a marriage, what do you call that? An arranged marriage when she's 17. Her husband is extremely abusive to her, and she is able, with the help of some people, to get out of that marriage. But in the society where this one takes place, obviously divorce is something that is, like, it's not acknowledged in any way. but she does have a wonderful stepmother, or not stepmother, wonderful mother-in-law who teaches her some medicinal values to and herbal remedies, and she is able to use the income that she makes out of those lessons that she learned from her previous mother-in-law in order to make way in a society where really she's at the bottom of the gutter because she has left this husband despite what he had done to her. This story is about her building this platform, and she is desperately trying to elevate herself through her art of becoming a henna artist, and what the dynamics of her world look like around her as she's trying to build herself up and elevate herself through her artwork, and what that could look like when it all comes crashing down. This is a wonderful story. It's immersive, and the second book does come out soon. So it's got a blue cover. Doesn't that sounds like such a vague reference? But the second book comes out soon, and I'm definitely going to be putting myself on hold for that one. The Henna Artist, again, is very immersive, so if you're looking for a story to totally take you outside of your own, this is a great book to read. We have it here as the physical book and an ebook, and if it's one that you would like, with all of our titles today, just leave a message in the comments. You can give us a call, let us know, and we'd be happy to set these aside for you. Okay, we're gonna do another one that's very immersive. This story, His Only Wife, takes place in Ghana. This was the October 2020 book club pick by Peace Andoza Medi. And this story is about a woman, again, who has an arranged marriage. She is forced into, it's almost like a Romeo and Juliet marriage. And she is just given to another family and expected to marry a man who actually could care less about her. He is actually in love with another woman and sends a stand-in to the wedding. So clearly he is not invested in this marriage, but his family does not approve of the woman that he is seeing, and instead wants him to marry our main character in this story. So Afi was happy with her life, and now all of a sudden she's in a marriage with a man who doesn't want anything to do with her. And this is the story of being taken from one place to another place, and what your expectations are when you live in Ghana. And so this was a very interesting culture read for me. I was able to learn more about polygamy through this story, because what ends up happening is our main character, her husband, marries this other woman that his family doesn't care for and is floating back and forth between houses. And Afi, our strong protagonist, she is going to go through some huge life-changing things in this story. So it's almost like an adult coming of age, and the way she is able to fight and make a stand for herself in a society that does not expect that. His Only Wife is a book that we have on our library shelves. Obviously, I'm holding it up, but we also have it as an ebook and an e-audio book on Libby and Overdrive that you have access to, again, with your Napanee Public Library card. Late last fall, Reese also added a YA, that means like a teen title, that's going to have a teen protagonist to her book club picks. So monthly, from June 2017, she was doing a monthly pick, and most of the main characters of those titles are going to be adult or newly emerging adults for her main character title picks. But last year she added in the YA picks, and these books, again, all stand on their own. They are going to be books with strong female teenage main characters that are, again, going to help you to discover your larger world through different cultures. I believe this was one of the first ones that she chose. This was the second one. You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Thompson actually was written by an Indiana author. That was a fantastic book. Furia is the second one. This one came out as the October YA book club pick for last year, and this story takes place in Argentina. As you know, like they call soccer football. So in the story, Furia, this one is written by Yamil Said Mendez, and she is raised in a family where her older brother is able to do so many more things than what she is able to do, and girls are not expected in any way or allowed to play soccer, and she is a phenomenal soccer player. So she hides from her family that she has actually been invited to be a part of a soccer team, and she uses it to get out of different circumstances. And again, it's an immersive culture experience. This is an excellent story. Even if you're not a normal teen reader, this is still one you want to add to your list. This is, again, Reese's YA book club pick from last year. We have this book available as a physical book and as an ebook on Libby and Overdrive. Just last week, I read the May 2021 book club pick. This is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I actually had this one on my list to read because I had read some other Laura Dave books and really enjoyed them. And then when I realized it was going to be a Reese Witherspoon book club pick, it was even better. This is a story of suspense, but not gory suspense. So it's a mystery that's going to take you into the lives of people who have multiple identities. The pacing is really good for this one, but as you learn more and more about what's happening, the less and less you actually find out. So I think it takes a really creative author to be able to dance around topics that are main themes in a story without giving it all away. So this one is definitely, it's just different. I'm not normally a mystery, psychological, thrilling book, but this one, it wasn't too bad. I was able to get through it. In this story, Hallie, it opens up really quick, and Hannah Hall, she answers the door. Somebody hands her a letter that her husband passed to them and says, protect her. That's legit all it says. The letter says, protect her. Obviously, it's inferred that the her is his daughter, Bailey, who lives with them. But Hannah and her husband have only been married a year. She hardly knows this teenager, Bailey, his daughter, and now she is tasked with protecting her when he disappears. So there's some very weird feelings that go on in this story, and so many vague inferences that make you feel like this story could be about all kinds of different things. And again, it just takes a phenomenal author to be able to do something like that.
Pam said loved The Last Thing He Told Me. So
I think she read it right after I did, or maybe right before. It is a very, very immersive read.
She likes psychological thrillers a lot.
She does.
So
okay, so the fact that
be a
she
good one.
enjoyed this title and likes that genre, and I didn't, really shows that it's really for all types of readers. So, I mean, this one, some people call it a thrilling roller coaster. Others say just masterful storytelling, dizzying suspense. Yeah, it should just go on everybody's list. Of course it should. The next two titles are ones that when I hold them up, everybody is going to say, I've read that, my neighbors read it, my cousins read it, but you know what? They're obviously worth reading. Again, this one I waited months to get my hands on. Are the Crawdads Sing by Delia Jones, or Owens. This one, it came out a long time ago. Do you guys remember when this one came out?
So I've never read it, but Marloes has read it.
September 2018. I'm pretty sure this book has probably been circulated a lot. In this story, it takes you back to a quiet fishing village. It's the 1960s, 50s. It's a coming of age story about a girl who is really pulled from society. They oftentimes call her the marsh girl. She lives by herself. That is not by choice, but she's kind of left on her own. And this story, it's a coming of age story where she eventually at some point meets a young man from the village that's nearby, but she uses her naturalist instincts and what she has known about her surroundings that have raised her. Because she's been totally by herself, she's had to find her own food, she's had to find her own medicines when she's needed them. And so she's gained this massive knowledge about the nature around her, and she uses that to escape her reality. The pictures that she draws in this story, they take you away. You get to experience a story through the way she describes a bird that she sees at the beach, or a plant that she sees growing. The descriptions take you into the story, and that is wonderfully done. I did see just not too long ago that this book is being optioned and already being filmed. So in 2022, it's going to go to film. So you definitely want to read the book before it goes to the movies, just in case they disappoint us. We know that happens sometimes. Most of the time, the book is always better. You heard it here first. You want to read the book. So Where the Crawdads Sing. This one is going to be a book that everybody's going to be looking for again. That always happens where there's a cyclical list of everybody who wants to read a book right before it comes to the movie theater. So get yourself on the list first, so that if you have not read Where the Crawdads Sing, you get your hands on a copy before it goes to the movie theater. The last book that I wanted to showcase with you today is one that kind of stuck with me. This one is Jojo Moyes, The Giver of the Stars. For our avid readers out there, you might recognize her name. She wrote Before Me Before You, that also became a movie. So this is the same author, a whole new setting in time story. This takes place, it starts in England and then it ends up in Kentucky. But The Giver of the Stars, the theme of this is about the pack horse librarians of the Blue Hills of Kentucky. And it's a multiple POV, so there's 4 or 5 different perspectives in this story. And each of the pack horse librarians that trudge all over the countryside delivering books and getting literature into the hands of their community each have a different stance on how they ended up where they are and why literature drives them and what they do. So this is an excellent story if you're looking to learn more about the culture of the backwoods of Kentucky, but I'm going to totally give you a disclaimer and say that if you really liked this book and you want another story, I personally enjoyed The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek a little bit more than this one. They have some of the same themes, but the other one has even more content that you can discuss. So if you are looking for that specific book, or you've read this one, try that one. So that's kind of what this program is about with our Reader's Advisory. So The Giver of the Stars is available as a physical book. We also have this one as an ebook and an e-audio book, and it's a good read. So if you are looking for a complete list of all of the Reese Witherspoon Book Club picks, she does have an app available. It's free from the App Store for Apple or Android. It's called Reese's Book Club Picks. It has this giant logo right in the App Store. And you can, when you're setting up your profile, you can sit there and click, I have read or I want to read, and they'll walk you through all the book club picks since 2017. And then you can build a list of books that you want to read. So that's another great way where you can be on the up and up on what books she is choosing each month across the board. So again, she monthly has a book that features an adult woman protagonist, and then it seems like about seasonally she's going to have a teen protagonist YA pick as well. Here at the Napanee Public Library, we do try to get as many of them as possible. Oftentimes they can be a little bit delayed, but if there's a title that you hear about through the app or from different venues or media outlets, you can let us know, and we can definitely put you on hold for those items in the format that you're looking for when those come in. So any questions? This is a great way to kind of interact. Did you want me to hold up another title a little bit longer or speak to other books? Did anybody have questions?
The library asked what movie do you think is better than the book, and Pam said The Shawshank Redemption.
I haven't read it, so I should, because
Which
I
is a
thought the
good
movie
one.
was pretty good. So if the book is even better, I should read that one.
So is there any movies that you can think of that you think are better than the book? I know Pat says that Hidden Figures.
I haven't read it or watched it.
She thinks that one's better.
You think that one's better? Okay, so I read The Circle by Dave Eggers 3 years ago, something like that. That is supposed to be a dystopian movie that takes place about a social network that does not feel very dystopian. That means futuristic. It feels very real life. It feels very oh, this is the reality that we live in. And this is what could happen to us if we let a social network take over the world.
Like the TV show?
They made it into a movie.
There's a
Tom
Netflix TV
Hanks? show
show called The Circle.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
It's
so
like a reality TV show.
that's creepy. Okay, so it's a very realistic book that feels like it should be in the future, but it's not in the future. The book made you go, huh? At the end, and I literally went back 30 pages and reread the end again because I thought, that is not how they're going to end this story, right? They totally changed it in the movie. And while they left a lot, even main characters, out of the movie, they made the ending make sense because it was so ungratifying to get to the end of a 300-page book and be like, you've got to be kidding me. So in that sense, the ending helped, but it was totally different than the book.
Any you can think of, Marloes?
No.
Yeah.
All the
I
ones-
do try to read
book's
a book
usually
before
better.
I watch
Yeah.
the movie, but I'm so behind in my movies that I don't know.
Yeah.
But I definitely will be watching Where the Crawdads Sing because, I mean, even just last week, I walked by somebody who was reading that and I said, oh, don't you just love the Marsh Girl? And she looked at me like I was crazy because honestly, like these stories stick to you. You become so hyper vigilant and aware of your surroundings and what privileges we have here in the United States and what it looks like to do the exact same things that we're doing in another culture and how that's so obsolete. It's absolutely crazy. So, okay, that we're gonna wrap up Book Bites for today, but we are gonna have another episode next week. We're gonna feature books that have fathers and grandfatherly figures, books from our collection, so you wanna make sure you turn on your notifications for future Book Bites so that you're aware when we're going to be going live with more book club picks with that topic. So we will be back again next week and then again in July. So thank you guys so much for joining us. If you watch it delayed, please, please, please let us know if there's a book that we can get into your hands and we would be happy to set them aside for you. That's all for now. We will see you next time.